Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very cold day here in the death metal library, but I think we're going to talk about some death metal to warm ourselves up today. Let's talk about reissues. So, reissues, represses, they're not all created equal, and we'll have some people out there that are very like old school and elitist and like only the OG press is good. But when we actually break things down and look at it, there can be a lot of strengths and weaknesses to different reissues and different pressings of different albums. Whether that's things like alternate artwork, or expanded artwork, or a different mix, or the mix is louder. Maybe there's bonus tracks from demos or something. Maybe there's concert photos or rare photos of the band, or flyers included in the layout, biographies. There's a lot of different things that can really elevate a pressing in terms of that layout. And it's one of the reasons why we like to buy physical copies of things rather than just a digital file, because you get the lyrics, you get all that expanded everything else, including other artwork other than the cover art too. And so today we're going to talk about one of these reissues of an album from the year 2000 that very much needed a reissue. It's kind of a brutal death classic for many individuals here. So let's talk about the band Burial. So not some of the ones that, like the one that put out Relinquished Souls, a very good Burial too. But let's talk about the brutal death metal band from Massachusetts that formed in 1995. In 1998, they released the Mourning the Millennium EP, which was followed by their first full-length Enlightened with Pain in 2000. In 2009, they released their sophomore full-length, Divinity Through Eradication. Each of their releases has a distinct color scheme, but their debut full-length with its striking blue might be the most distinctive. It was released by Massachusetts-based Lost Disciple Records, who has long since been defunct. There were two variants of the original pressing. The only difference between them can be found underneath the disc. The regular press reads Burial underneath, like my copy here, whereas the alternate press reads Biz2Net Corporation. Metalum lists the Biz2Net version as a promo version, but I'm not sure if that is accurate. Burial's Enlightened with Pain has since become a collector's gem, with one recent buyer having spent nearly $100 to obtain it. Thankfully, Hell's Headbangers reissued it several months ago, but how does their pressing compare to the original? Let's dive into it. The first thing is immediately identifiable. The cover of the new one has been squished and distorted, and as a result is different than the original vision of cover artist Jamie Cross. However, there is a trade-off here. We can see how the original cover was squished for that Hell's Headbangers press. In the Hell's Headbangers version, you get more of the art, so you can see the entirety of that axe head, and you can see that the demon stabbing from the top has its eyes showing. In this way, you get more of the art, which is awesome. The exception to this cover art being expanded is that Jamie Cross's signature in year, signed on the left side of the cover, is not present in the Hell's Headbangers version. It's not fully visible anyway. It's partially cut off there, and so it's illegible on the Hell's Headbangers press. Distorting the artwork?
It's going to be a no for me, dog.
J-Dog in this case. So why do we have this distortion? The image used in Hell's Headbangers' official YouTube stream of the album provides some hints. Presumably, the original artwork was on a vertical canvas, so this created a dilemma when trying to put that artwork on a horizontal booklet. It's worth noting in their YouTube image that they've already cropped out the demon's eyes on the top, further supporting that this was originally a longer vertical image. In the original Lost Disciple Records pressing, they cropped out the top and bottom so that the art would fit the cover of that horizontal booklet. For the Hell's Headbangers pressing, they prioritized keeping more of the art intact, but they ended up squishing the art then to fit on the booklet. Neither approach is ideal. I love the idea of expanding the art, but I wish they would have done it without having to squish the art. As an artist myself, I dislike that the original image has been distorted from what the artist originally created. Hell's Headbangers even avoided doing that for the YouTube image, so why put out an inferior version of the cover for the booklet? The squished image is also uglier. It just looks a little bit weird. Something looks a little bit off about it. If J-Dog and the other Horrible brothers ever need layout help with a dilemma like this, just let me know. I handle all of the layouts for Sewer Rot Records, and I'm great at figuring out how to solve different issues like this. I'd probably suggest maybe adding borders to the full art instead of stretching it or cropping it out. Maybe even keep the original version of the cover as a reversible cover on the other side so that old school purists are satisfied too. But perhaps the most frustrating part of this is when you look at Hell's Headbangers' advertisement for the CD, the cover isn't distorted there. It has more of the artwork and it isn't squished. The mock-up even has a logo placement that is different from their physical pressing that I'd argue is better than where they put it on the physical pressing. It seems like something went wrong somewhere between the mock-up and the approved proofs. There are a few other small things I'll mention about the covers. The logo placement is a little different in each. The same goes for the album title, which has a new font in the new pressing. The logo placement in the Hell's Headbangers press also means that we lose the shadowy figures present in the Lost Disciple press. Now let's take a look on the inside. The Lost Disciple press repurposes the cover on the front of the disc. The Hell's Headbangers press has an entirely new artwork on the disc that fits with the theme and color scheme of the cover. This original artwork and the new layout are credited to Eric Horrorval, one of the Horrible brothers that runs Hell's Headbangers. The back of the booklet replaces photos of a bomb that reads Burial and a band photo with new artwork and an alternate band photo. The color scheme of the new press makes the package more cohesive. The original booklet was dark and straightforward. It had lyrics and extensive thank you lists from each member. The new booklet, though, is eye-catching with expanded artwork and that striking blue and red color scheme. It also has a thank you list from the band both collectively and by each member, which looks largely the same, but the thank you list does appear in a different order. The inside of the tray card is where the biggest differences appear. The Lost Disciple press was loaded with photos of the band in a collage. It was cool to see that the band were a cohesive group of dudes that had plenty of shenanigans together. I like having these insights into a band's dynamic. The new version has the album title text that shows through to the front of the clear tray, and it also has a completely new art piece there. This one is more purple, so it departs a bit from the blue theme of the rest of the layout, but it's an incredibly striking piece that looks like something out of a Resident Evil game. All the new artwork in the new press adds a lot and makes for a more cohesive layout, but it's sad that the band photos are gone. Maybe those old band photos could have been spread across the booklet or used in a different way. The back of the tray card has some differences consistent with what we've seen so far in each of these respective layouts. The Lost Disciple press is a zoom-in of part of the cover. The Hell's Headbangers press is new artwork that builds off the theme of the cover. Are there any audio differences? So the audio is largely identical on both. The Hell's Headbangers press has 1 extra second of silence on the first track and 2 extra seconds of silence on the closing track, but other than that, the audio for both is largely identical. I didn't detect any differences. So what's our verdict on this? So if we can't obtain that Lost Disciple press, that's hard to get, right? It's increasingly expensive, but it also has some downsides, like we have less of the artwork kind of shown there than we do even on this new reissue of it. But how is this Hell's Headbangers reissue? Is it worth picking up? So I love that the artwork is expanded, that it has this rich layout with those striking blue and red colors. I love that more of the artwork's shown. I love the addition of new art pieces. It is sad that some of the band photos are gone from that original Lost Disciple press. But really, my only major complaint with this the Hell's Headbangers press is that distorted artwork. This artwork that is not exactly that vision of the original cover artist. And maybe what's just more frustrating about it too is even the advertisements for the Hell's Headbangers CD press don't have this artwork distorted. So I don't know what happened before it hit press, why it is distorted in the physical pressing, but all I can hope for is maybe someday that we'll get a third pressing that has the expanded artwork, has the axe and some of these extra details, but without that distortion. That would be awesome if we can eventually get that. But in the meantime, it's well worth your time, I think, to spend $11, right, and grab this from Hell's Headbangers. It's an amazing album if you don't have it. A brutal death metal classic, a great example of that turn-of-the-century brutal death metal sound that is just so good that more bands should try to tap more into in modern day, I think. But what were your thoughts? You can let me know in the comments. Do you want to see more comparisons between different pressings? Let me know, and I'll be happy to get more of those to you. So have a good one. Keep it brutal.